I don't know. It says we're live. Hey, it's counting. Okay. Wow, that was a good video. I uh I was listening. I was trying to hear. It was hard to hear. The background was loud. Um, but I couldn't hear John very well. I'm kind of deaf a little bit, and so I had the phone up close. So then I have to put the reading glasses on, otherwise everything's blurry. At any rate, wow, interesting times. Many years. You're talking about all kinds of fun stuff. Jeez. Uh, the Fleischman Project. I just saw something about that go through recently. Someone had reposted one of the links associated with it, and then I found it on the other site. I didn't have that one in under this profile. Um, this is my profile I generated after Coast Guard deal 2.5 years ago. Well, it'll be 3 years upcoming here at the end of the month. Yeah, wow. How time flies. At any rate, yeah, we haven't been able to communicate since Norfolk, pretty much. I had all that resistance factor, the Norfolk Field Office of Federal Harassment. Quite interesting. Ever actually since I came back up here, it's been nothing less than interesting at times. You know me, I just document everything. Actually, we were having fun. I was just trying to start the video here, and I kept getting slammed on the phone. As soon as I opened it up, they kept slamming YouTube. Um, so then I did a little trace route, as you can see. The times dropped off real quick once I pulled that up. I like capturing that stuff, but I didn't have all this equipment set up to document misbehavior by you know those assigned clowns that steal tax dollars to harass good Americans. I guess people probably all over the world actually, but I can only imagine. At any rate, we'll leave the politics out of it. But yeah, I have to put up with their politics. They don't like it when I speak out against the status quo and the nonsense that goes on. But they don't like truth just as well. So I think they're getting a little bit of truth these days now. Seems to be flowing out of the cracks everywhere. I think that's what all the hype is about. So at any rate, back to the video. When I was watching Paul's video, there was a couple questions. I made some comments back on some stuff as it was going. I was kind of tired. I didn't get to actually watch it live. I didn't even know it was occurring. At any rate, I think it was pre-recorded. Um, wasn't Hathaway. It was the fellow that had visited you that was doing the stress analysis work. Um, can't remember his name. I'd have to go back and find a video of the archive if it's even up on the net. I know you've been reloading stuff since we all got smacked. What was it? 6 years ago, December, right before it was right at the holiday, or it's between Christmas and January 1st. I don't remember. I didn't even realize it till it was a couple days after the fact when they locked our channels down. You go there and everything's there, but you go there as a public. It says this viewer, this user has no videos. I'm like, okay, all right. I had a nice archive of really interesting stuff, educational stuff. It was a nice educational archive. Lots of playlists of any topic of science you could be interested in. I'd save all the cool videos that I thought were on task and worthwhile watching. There's a lot of clickbait out there, and I had a huge library of, of playlists and then videos And then I also had another archive, locally of that. I don't know, a few terabytes over the years of just good stuff, um, everything from mechanical universe to how it's made, just all kinds of neat stuff. And then the science is broken down by category type of science, and you could cross ref it actually. It's pretty nice for learning, for the hobbits and the younger ones that want to get inspired. And maybe at some point YouTube will go, we won't have all that access like that, but it was a forethought, but I guess it's not necessary. Um, yeah, I don't know where um I just can't even pull up in my head the video and what was about you were talking about. I think you were I think Russ came out and interviewed you back in the day at the Oregon lab down there. It was the day when he had the video of him pulling up in the car, and it was kind of reverse order at the beginning. That was a fun video. You guys were playing with the RF stuff in the lab later. That was a fun video. That would have been fun to be there. Horsing around with some RF energy and playing with light bulbs and vacuum tubes, and that was just fun lab stuff. But you guys, you did a pretty good interview. You covered some topics, and then later you did a Carla video. There's a couple, but you you were doing the you're putting those two together. That was nice though. And then I could have swore they were combined as part of one part of that video or something. I don't know. You had some fun with that after you and Carla were doing an interview, and I don't know. Carla always makes me smile. Way back in the day, I don't know, 2012, 13, 14. I'm not sure. I can't remember when it was. It was early on though in my transition period. Um, I don't know. Carla and I were browsing the internet and ran into each other and were having discussions. And I don't know. I think that's kind of when we met. And she introduced me to John, and we had so much to talk about over the years. A lot of good conversations. At any rate, I digress. My point was, um, my brain, my brain. Since a head injury, it's just it's fun. It's why I would never take my old my old type of work industrially seriously anymore. It's like my mind. Let's see. The fellow that yeah was working on the stress analysis stuff. I was actually gonna go dig up some of that. I lost my other machine, all my work, everything went down in the Atlantic with the boat. So I just what bits and pieces I got in my head and what I can start over with is where I'm at. Um, I'm trying to think. Anyways, I just can't remember his name. But anyways, he had you were talking about the diodes, those diodes, and the properties of those diodes, and for doing stress analysis. I think he was with either the oil business or something like that. They were doing aerial surveying, if I remember right. Um, Jeez, that's why I was want you to clarify that. Maybe you can share that story. It was interesting stuff. I'm sure that went further along, but I don't think you really ever got any credit for whatever went on and what you guys were talking about back then, and that's how it is in the money industry. They all focus on that, and it's kind of crazy. But yeah, that was the question that I had because Paul was talking about it, and I'm going, yeah, you're right. There was that, and there's so many other things. I was thinking about the time when the you were up in BC, I think. If I'm correct, I could be wrong, but um, you were up in Vancouver up there, and could have been lab number 2, I'm thinking, but it's the one down in the industrial district there, kind of. I think it's where they actually went, and when you were over in Europe, they went and actually kind of went in the place and were being, the RCMP were being assholes and shit, and they were trying to cordon off your place and take charge of it, and they were making all kinds of bullshit claims. It was a pain in the ass for you. I remember you were over there, you were gonna do some work over there, and then they screwed all that up. I don't remember. It's bits and pieces. But yeah, it's back then. I think that was the location. Might have been the one right after that. I don't remember, because then you were down in Oregon. Well, you were up in Minnesota for a bit too. That was fun. Your interferometer up there on the lake. That was. See, I could have came up and visited then, but I didn't know anything about any of that. That was all before the fact. That was before 2013, I think, even, or right around there. That was around. I think that's when Nancy was back there. She was going up against the corrupt bar association. Minnesota's nasty. That's why I left that place. 29 years there. I said one day, there's no law here. Went to Seattle. I was not going to raise my kids out there. It was pretty bad, lawless, just corruption. But I remember watching her. She's a watchdog. She went to bat in those hearings. Just lit them up like a Christmas tree. She had good evidence. I never did find out what happened with any of that. Probably not much in Minnesota. they like to sweep it under the carpet and just do the same thing. But you guys were down at the Capitol too. You went down to the DOT. I think you went to the DOT building. I says, oh, this brought back memories, because I saw that up by the Capitol. It's all right there, right on the other side of 94 on the freeway. The DOT building's right there. It's brought back memories, because you go in that place and you're just a number. They don't want to deal with anything. And it's government. It's a definition of true government. It's bureaucracy. I grew up there. I was just like, I was disdain with it since the youngest age. I got a real good mouthful of it young. And but I remember she was battling, and you guys were talking. You went up to that office and you were talking about you were asking them for, because you had like the right to inquire and petition or something, and they were just blowing you off. And then they brought out one of their constables, like he was going to strong arm you and just chase you. Nancy's like a watchdog, She's literally like a Rottweiler ready to go. I was just like, that girl, when she's on the trail, she's a digger, she's an investigator, and she is a advocate. If Nancy has something about her, it is amazing. And she's also a smart lady. She, the Mobius coil, anything she likes. She has a, I think your end is like my end and Paul ends. We're more of the playing with the equipment. We're gonna tune it in. We're gonna tune into the harmonics. We're gonna tune into that end of it. And Nancy is like thinking about what we're doing, but she's like from an organic end of it. She's from the universe side. She's from the higher consciousness, deep thought, analyzing what's going on and logically, seeing, is the two of you together are like a team, your two minds together are where it's at. That's why you're together, because you're that team that's, and then the two of you, you get along, and you communicate and all that, and it's the two of you together. I guess you're the machinist and the electrical kind of guy with you're more the mechanical assembly and that part of it. And then you probably resonate with the plasma energy and the magnetic and the harmonics, and then she's like the organic side, nature side of the other side of the universe. Yeah, it's like the two of you, time together well. I see that dynamic. I think it's cool. The Indian River thing, geez, that was cool. Um, wow, just stirred up a lot of thoughts and a lot of fond memories and smiles about some of the stuff and the adventures you're on when you're out on the sailboat too. It's like I gotta take you guys out sailing when I make it over that way. It's not such a small boat. This one's a little bigger. Um, I think you'll enjoy it. We gotta. I need some cannons. I gotta talk to you about some cannons. Um, um, yeah, we gotta have some celebratory cannons on board, so when we're in the boat parade, we can we gotta deal with those pirates too. So they gotta be you know they gotta be useful on board. But yeah, we can get in the boat parade and have the cannons. Yeah, I've thought about it. My sister still wants a cannon for her boat. Oh, we're both trying to get out of here and get south. I guess I don't know if there's pirates in the Caribbean, but we're gonna find out. Um, but yeah, it was just good memories, and the discussions and the talks and the back and forth. Yeah, it stirred up a lot of thoughts actually. Watching Paul talk about some of that stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, that's right. There's so many details. You've had such a life adventure. I mean, you could talk for days and days and days and days, and probably not scratch the surface on the adventures you've had. Um, wow. At any rate, yeah, good video. Um, I was happy Paul put that out so that it could answer some of the mythology. Um, the propaganda on the internet's crazy. I see that stuff. I just like, God, really, really, they got to do this, huh? But I know you're real. I know the sea captain's real, and I know Carla's real. They're characters I enjoy, and I haven't talked to Carla in a while, so um, I'll let her know Kim is looking to talk to Carla. It's been a minute, but um, I think we all relate on the same level. I'm not worried about any of that as well. The world is the world. I've been down in the south, the Bible Belt, where they hold up the Bible pretty pretty proud, and that's all good. I stay out of that stuff, but ending up in that zone as a transgender being pulled off a Coast Guard boat was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna go on here? I figured, oh, that'll be interesting. This is gonna be interesting, but I've had no issues. I only ran across one fellow that had gonads enough to, try and throw a punch at my shoulder, and I always walk away from those situations and diffuse them. But I walked about 10 feet and I turned around and says, not this time. I turned around and then there was three guys trying to keep us apart. It was like, I would have ate him for breakfast. I would have had to teach him what would they call that, a humanitarian lesson. But I was surrounded by people I work with and witnesses, so it would have been fine. But I'm not a violent person, but it's just a disrespect. And when you lay your hands on me, you have exceeded the limit. You've crossed the Rubicon. Um, so that was an interesting situation. Other than that, I've had no issues. It's funny when I tell people, did you know I was transgender? They you picture a semi, doing a power slide, all the wheels locked up, doing a fishtail down the freeway. The brain locks up, and but we're I'm the same person I ever was. I'm just as Kim. I'm probably a lot nicer and a lot more patient, and there's just a lot better about me than the person that used to exist in Western humanity. Oh, it was a dangerous thing. Probably more so for others than myself, but the situations that could arise in a moment's notice because of just being forced into a reality that's just absolutely not right. So yeah, I smile. It's like, yeah, if they don't like it, oh well. And Baroness Carla, uh, she she makes me smile a lot, and it's the freedom to be, the freedom to express, priceless. If people have a problem with it, well, so what? Let them, whatever they do, they do. I don't have a care in the world about it. Um, yeah, some people can't get over things, and it's just funny to watch them. It's just like it becomes entertainment, actually. Yeah. So, oh wow, what a rush it is. Paul's been busy. He's been working nonstop on the coils, and he's doing good work. He's got a really nice adjustable table so he can adjust the capacitance and the multi-plate. I like it. It's symmetry. I keep going back for square wound transformers. The entire symmetry of both sides of rectification. Selenium diodes, the big block kind of, they bolt on the chassis. Just, you know, the good stuff, the good old stuff. I had a beautiful power supply. I lost it on the boat. Boy, if there's one thing I could have saved, it would have been that. I have to find the replica. There's more out there. There's one somewhere. I need to find it. The engineering on it was phenomenal. What nobody noticed about it was the symmetry and the design and the attention to detail. Given the right transformer, I could take and use that power supply. It was it was set to go to 0 to 60 or 70 volts. I don't remember. It was a mid-range, power supply. It had put out 15 amps on the high end, but it really was, meant to be used around 10 to 12 amps. You know, about a kilowatt probably. But you know, it could handle it. And there's times I worked it hard and loaded and it got real warm. Never bothered. It was designed to run at 160 degrees and it wouldn't hurt it none. I mean, it was so overbuilt. It was amazing. And I forget the name, and I somewhere in some of my images I have a picture of it. Maybe I can figure out what model it was and find one again. I just want the innards intact. The transformer was key, but every part of the circuit on the rectification for each of the two half waves that was broken down was symmetrical. Diodes, branches, everything. It was artwork. And you look at it and you go, oh yeah, this is an original. That thing had RF properties about it. My grandson was 2.5. He came over. I cranked it up. It'd run 90 volts out of it, no problem. But I mean, it was designed to use around 80 volts. I think is what was meant to be, about 80 volts and probably 5 to 8 amps, maybe 10. You could go a little higher, but 10 amps. 500 watts. And but it wasn't limited. So it's the old linear dials. I had the actual. You get the rheostats in it. You can feel the rheostats. Beautiful rheostats. And they're probably like 120, 150 turn. It was real nice, fine rheostats, but you could feel them. Got a nice brush on there. And anyways, the symmetry of the circuit of the transformer properties, because it was a double block, double wound with a wiper in the middle. So it was a square wound, variac transformer. It was never seen one like this in my life. But anyways, it was like split phase. This is the only way I can. And I want to take it apart and map it out and look at it all, but I just blow it out and clean it up. Period. The lid was loose on it all the time, so I could just blow it out But oh yeah, amazing device. Anyways, that thing had properties that when I'd run a circuit with it, and I'd run an oscillator with a feedback with a coil. I, my grandson was 2.5 and put safety glasses on because we were playing with sparks. I was teaching the little hobbit about sparks. And he found the arcing in the spark fascinating because it is. It's cool stuff. And so we were doing that. We were playing with motors, and he could turn the power up and the power down, and you know how to use the power supply, and you know how to hook it up. So we just one step out. About 3 hours one night, we were just playing with that thing, hooking all kinds of stuff. But at the end, I says, "Well, let's have the grand finale here because I don't know when I'm gonna get to hang out with him again." And so I fired it up, and I brought circuit up, and I induced a signal, and I forget what I did exactly. Might even be a picture of the setup. I might have saved that, but he's got his little safety glasses on because it sparks. You know, you got to be safe. He's 2.5 years old. It doesn't matter what we're doing. But so he got his safety glasses on. He's all excited, and I cranked it up, and I showed him how you put your fingers like you and Russ were doing with the RF, right? So, anyways, he's got a standard 60-watt light bulb, and you got to squeeze. You know, you got to hold it. You got to hold it on, and put your thumb on it to hold the wire on the bulb. And you know, we're pushing 90 volts plus on there, but it was RF energy that was going through it that was exciting it. So it was like kind of like cold DC. I mean, that's what this I could get out of this one instrument. It was just the one. It was like an EVO. You know, it was this one anomaly that this machine had. You won't find it in anything else. And I noticed it before doing experiments, and cranked it up, and he got to hold it on the light bulb, and the light bulb went, and he turned it up so he knew it, and it got brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. You know, and it's only going to put out like at that current rating. I think it was only going to put about 79, 83 volts, 84 volts. But it's lighting the light bulb up. Well, you know, it's a light bulb. It's a real glass light bulb, so it's going to get warm. So he was holding the light bulb in one hand, and he's got to hold his thumb and the wires on the other thing, right? You know, so he's doing that, and the bulb starts to get warm, you know, itself. And he looks at it and go, "Don't drop it. Turn it back down," you know. So turn it back down, and he's like, "Oh, okay." So it's glowing. So he put together, you know, things get warm, the brighter they get, the you know, that's heat, you know. So you learn like 3 or 4 things that night, all in his head, you know, the physical world. And the funny part was he was actually holding the wires. Like I said, it was like it was called RF, and it was activating the bulb. At the same time, he's holding the wires, and you can't get electrocuted. We know how that is. There's no electrocution take process, but that's that RF. See, and so he started getting kind of fascinated with the bulb. And he started letting up where you squeeze to make contact, because he was the contact. You know, he was the conductor, and it started warming up on his fingers. I saw the look, and he looked, and I go, "Squeeze harder." We squeeze harder. So he actually, you know, he learned about 5 things that night. And then to top it off, then he says, "Well, we've been playing with batteries, you know, big deep cycle batteries here in a safe method because we have supervision." And it was important that he knew that battery could cause a lot of problems if you shorted the terminal up. So I took a wire and a piece of wire. I think it was like, you know, 10 amp lead maybe at the most, jumper. And I told him, if you put this wrench across here, it'll explode. His eyes got real big, you know, like really? I says, "Oh yeah, you'll be blind. You'll never see again, and you know, you could even die. You could burn the whole building up." So he's like, "Oh, probably don't want to do that." So while he was focused on, you know, imagining a big explosion and just really bad stuff happening by letting anything metal go across there, I go, "Should we test it and make sure, you know?" So he's like, "No." I don't want to see back. So I set the wrench down so he understands never to try that. And you can tell all his little friends never do this. No. He's got little brothers. See, he's got to be the big kid. I take a 15 amp jumper and I bared the middle of it, and I wound about 4 matchstick heads up in the center of it. And he really wasn't for him to like pay attention to what I'm doing. But I got the wire and I go, if you put this across here, it, it'll blow it up and it'll start a fire. And I had to solidify that, so I put one end on, I clipped it on the other end, I touched it, and that match, that thing got hot. It went woof, glowed and shot out a bunch of sulfur, nice flare. And he just backed up, and he's like, whoa, not good. No, no. Why do you do that? I says to show you. You put that one on, it'll explode. So this is funny because like a couple months later, wasn't long, maybe 3-4 months later on, this is like during the early spring, later in the season, fall or summer, he's up in his dad's garage. He's got a shop. His dad had done something where he left a battery laying out. So his son comes out and tells him, hey, Dad, no, you got to put this away. Baby brother can get to this. You got to make sure nothing can get on here. He's giving his dad lecture. So, see, safety first. You start them when they're young. They make great scientists. Somewhere, I think I can come up with a picture, maybe a couple, 3 pictures of us that day. It was kind of fun. I'd have to see who I shared those with and maybe if they're in an email or a message. But we had a lot of fun. So we got to inspire the young ones. We got to inspire them young. We got to get the hands-on with supervision. It's like you with the hobbits, with the lathe. Remember the hobbit that was visiting you in Oregon? You had a couple of hobbits up there. The girl and the boy were visiting. And I don't remember relation or family or close friends of family. I don't remember. But yeah, they learn hands-on. That's the best way. They're curious. They want to participate. We just have to take the time and have the patience to supervise. And that's the best time you get to spend with them when they actually want to do something. You gotta, hey, hang on, hey, safety first, okay, And you give them little baby step challenges, and maybe make them memorize, what you got to do first. Like the hobbit that was running the machine, the start and stop, he was machining something. Might have been a shell casing or a brass round. I can't remember. I think it was a brass round. No, maybe it was a brass round stock. And yeah, that's the best times. That's fun. They're a lot of fun. At any rate, yeah, maybe you can remember the fellow's name. I wanted to actually kind of go track down and see whatever happened to that. I was kind of curious with that technology, the surveyors and the oil boys, and they could look for water, natural gas, there's all kinds of things. There's anomalies in the earth, and now that we're going to get out to go to the ocean, well, see, it costs a lot of money to fly an aircraft around, but we can fly over the ocean floor for free all day long because somehow the surface of the water just acts like a big parachute. It keeps us at a nice level altitude and when it's fairly calm out. I'm going to suspend an instrument from center point on the fulcrum of the ship on a carriage. It'll probably be made out of PVC. I like PVC. Is cheap, inexpensive, pretty flexible, pretty strong, pretty durable, saltwater proof, non-corrosive. It's just cheap and handy, and it's if it's engineered right. So probably a 2.5-foot frame with several trusses in it, and a crossbar in the middle somewhere to keep that from twisting on the bottom, and a hoop that we can put together and just bring over the boat. We just spin it, bring it over with a rope and bring it underneath the boat. We could take it from the front as a carriage and walk it back. It'd probably be the easiest. But if we're under sail, that's going to be hard to do with the keel. I might run a V-strap with the saddle, but I'm going to leave it suspended. We'll probably do that with a V 3-point from the front. So in other words, a crown that'll go around the front and just like a hoop. It'll support it on there and put it off, and it'll have a center span that'll go down. And then we'll have a 3-point or a hoop. I'm probably going to do the hoop because I can control it from the front. Anyways, we're going to suspend something below with a fulcrum with about a 25-pound weight. And that'll keep that pretty level. It won't be perfect. The boat's going to pitch and roll, and do things. But generally speaking, it's going to keep it below the boat and away from the physical part of the boat. And the lower we hang, the better it can self-center. And then we'll drop our instruments off that carriage. That way I can, one side will come up. It'll come up. We can load the instrument. It'll go down to the halfway point. That's the whole point. Might come up with a spiral hoop that goes all the way around it. I don't know. We're going to engineer on the fly. That's what R&D is. But I want to get some instruments out. We're going to look at the floor of the ocean from shallows to deep. Acoustics, different bands, you might say, of vibrating energy, anything from running waves that are oscillating with physical pulses. We could do phasing with that. We can do, they play with phased array antennas and they steer beams. I mean, they're using it with the Starlink. It works out pretty good. It's actually, phasing, directing the beam while the antenna sits still. It's an old technology. It's not anything new. The concept's just a concept. It's been around just because nobody employed it into modern society so they all could see it and write a date down and go, oh, this is new. The thought's been around for ages. Like I said, I don't look over the shoulders of humanity. If I did, I'm always going to be behind them, right? Use the brain and go forward. Don't look back. Tear off the rearview mirror. Don't worry about where they're at. Just you got to go do your own thing. Then you run into people like you and Paul and others, and we go, hey, what are you working on? Oh, I don't know. So, yeah, we're gonna try and do some fun stuff. I got to get far away from everything. I need X amount of degrees of longitude and latitude. A nice triangle in the sky. No Victor roots. No Juliet roots. No airways anywhere. Can't see them on the horizon. Yeah, high energy, high potential. Yeah. Play around with the EME stuff. I don't need anyone's permission. This is a big planet. I'm going to a far place on the planet. And or we can float a barge, I've designed plenty of ROVs years ago that would go down. They would only go down about 35 feet. I didn't get into real high compression stuff. It would let me explore the technology, but those were manually driven. I did write some code to do vector thrust and those things. That's why when I saw Elon finally land a rocket on a pad, I'm like, about time. I've been waiting for NASA to do this for my lifetime, since I was a teenager. It's nothing super complex. It's not crazy bizarre. It's just someone needed to finally do it. We're finally getting to move somewhere because we get Gooberman out of the way, and we'll make some progress. We need a free open market. All this nonsense of this craziness that's going on now is crazy. But that's why I'm leaving country. I can't afford to live in America. I can't do any science here. This freedom, I'm not sure what that is anymore. But I am a citizen of planet Earth, and I hope nobody challenges me to that fact. That would be a bad thing probably for them. I mean, I'm sure it would be. Because, I was born here on the planet. I'm just like everybody else. I'm trying to do good things If I got a bunch of stupid around me, hey, that's not my problem, and it'll never be my problem. It'll be their problem. Get the hell out of the way. We got to get ahead, you know. Um, I don't have time for Klingons. That's for sure. You know, I don't know. Was that Battlestar Galactica or was that the other one? Klingons. I can never remember. Jeez, all the science movies. At any rate, well, hopefully you can remember that. I was going to check into that. Um, yeah, the barrier junction with the tension stuff. There's a whole art to that. It's very real. It's also fascinating. It's another part of the thing. Boyd Bushman did our pancake test for us to show us the gravitational parachute drag. Um, yeah, surprised they hadn't done that earlier, actually. Um, a lot of people had a lot of good ideas, but unfortunately, the science that's conducted in government and business is directed to whatever makes them money. It's not advancement of humanity and science. So, the only thing that good that comes from any of it is always open, free science. Um, People will eventually figure that out. Um, so we have to go do good things away, and then of course in this country and others that they can, you know, manipulate. They really don't control. They manipulate. They scare people, but they're just a few. You know, like I said, when the cattle realize the farmers only that's only a cattle prod. I mean, that could turn into an interesting situation, eh? Yeah. So there comes a day when the nonsense is gonna go away, and we're gonna go forward. As a humanity is not ready for a lot of things right now, but there's a lot of stuff happening. So we need energy freedom from those guys. They're uh, they're terrible. They're destroying our planet and everything on our planet. And yeah, I got things to say about that. So that's where I'm directing my immediate energy is into that stuff, and everybody else is interested in it. I know Paul is exhaustive. I saw when he was doing the coils. He showed a box of not the coils, the Hutchinson power cells, and he actually put the plates in. You know, this plates more conductivity, more surface. So I didn't see any of the data on that. That would have been somewhere I would have went, but I think we're dealing with the resonance. We're dealing with resonant. So resonant cavities. Interesting. That could be interesting. They're tapered, so you're gonna have a frequency range, you know, from the smallest gap at the center to the widest gap at the outside, then a dimensional, cross-dimensional length from two corners and the full length, and then you know XY. So that's interesting. You're gonna have some harmonics in there. You're gonna have harmonics. So I don't know. Is it the galena that's gonna set off the shavings of this or that or something else? Um, that needs some sample testing in a particular um, cell, a set of cells, because we have to investigate cell properties on the physical, the surfaces. Then we have to look at the harmonics. Then we have to look at the material placement ratios. And you and Nancy have a good formula. I don't know what you work through to get that ratio, but they seem to work good. You sent the ones over to Japan. You built some more. I think the best story, one of the best stories, when you're building that cell and you had it tested, I think it was you had it in the bathroom. I think is where it was. It was yeah, you were using the toilet basin as an insulator or something. Anyways, it was kicking out energy, and you had to end up having to get it the hell out of the apartment so it didn't. You're worried about burning something down. It I don't know. Anyways, it reached a critical saturation point of something, and I'll never forget that story because it there's saturation potentials. Gerard Morin up in Canada, another guy who did his own work. Um, Self-educated, just I worked with him for about 4.5 years. Um, he had a couple interesting situations. And one of them was a saturation, not really a runaway. He didn't have any runaway. Yeah, you had a runaway. You had something that was exponentially, it something became saturated that it was holding the junction barrier of the what does Bearden call it? The dipole open. It it started self-feeding because of saturation, potential, energy, temperature, probably a thermal thing. Because thermal runaway is, you know, um, it's temperature. Things they change, right? Did the frequency go up? Did it go down? Probably down because things around it, the containment expanded. So, we get more energy the lower the frequency goes. We go backwards in time if we lower the frequency. Interesting shit going on there. Some things just to throw up on a whiteboard and kick around and as we work around our shop and revisit it once in a while and just look at it and think about it and then go back to work. Um, that works for me anyways. Interesting stuff needs to be discussed more because we got the brains all here present, all of us together. And we got to get Nancy's thoughts because she's she's organic. She's like of the earth. I don't know how to explain it. Her energy just she's like Mother Earth. We're the mad scientists playing with the instruments, and she's like Mother Earth saying, "Well, if you look at it this way, I'll work with you." I mean, literally, that's what I see in Nancy. She's like, yeah, she's from another order, but of the same order and the same, same thing at the same time. But she has a whole natural, way of, she analyzes things in that way. And it's fascinating because there's so much truth to that. And the more I look at these things, that's what we've been missing. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm becoming a firm believer that we're missing the natural feedback and harmony side of it. And it's interesting. It's interesting. It's all here right in front of us. We already have it. Ah, it's just thinking it through. See, the control of it. The control of it is what's important. But what's ultimately important is that those things don't go to people that conquest, rape and pillage, destroy, the destroyers, the military, industrial destroyers. I have nothing to do with nothing. I go to another place on the earth to do my work. Never here. So that's nothing can be done since a long time. And it's time now. But it's for the people of the world. The power and industry and empire needs to go away, and their days are numbered. They're already numbered, but in more ways than one. But that's going to go away. But to free the people from those burdens of that, and to let us spend time and energy focused on learning, expressing, creativity. Um, that's why we're here. This is an amusement park, a playground, and an art class all wrapped up in one. Whether you're the wood carver, you're the pottery guy, you're the stained glass person, whether you're the artist with the paintbrush or the pen or whatever your craft is, if you're the musician, um, you're the interior decorator, I don't care. It's artistic. People have artistic energy. It's the expression. And so much craziness going on now. And that's going to need to stop. And we don't need to worry about it. If the humans don't do it themselves, nature will take care of it. Our job is to solve these problems of not having the complete control to work with nature, because that's what we're going to be working with. and the laws of the universe. Man's laws are like useless. I mean, they struggle and try, no matter how much as civilizations come and go. You know, empires raise and fall. You know, it's like that's an old game. There's still boys are still out there in the field playing that game. You know. Yeah, I exhausted. Oh, it's been a long night. I got a little nap, but it's daylight. I have to be up. I had to be up for the turning of the anchors this morning. We have the side wind. We have a side wind going. It's difficult. Let's see. How can I do this? I can turn this around. Yeah, see. We're sideways, and we're going to be sideways, but we're sideways to the wind right now. So, yeah. So I'm going to have a little tobacco. I know, look at my horrible sink full of my stuff and all my, everything that's on the counter has to go in the sink. I keep other stuff in here. We got salt and peppers. We got, this has to be here to keep stuff from rattling around because I put in my coffee maker. My cup will go in here. My custom coffee maker will go in here. Everything goes in here when I pull anchor. But the sink's unusable, otherwise it'd be beautiful and it'd be spotless clean. And it's no big deal. I had to take the boat over. We had some people that were on drugs. I call them meth heads. And I have no time or space for people that steal from other people to, you know, fix their issues in life. What they do on their own, it's a sad situation. I totally agree with that. Their whole life is taken over. It's a sad thing. I wish we could just not have it. And maybe one day we won't. I guess when the CIA quits being drug lords and controlling all the drugs that they bring into the country for their secret profits. That's what they've been doing forever. And then they use the agencies that anyone that sells them besides them, they stick the agencies and throw them in jail. So you're going to be a drug dealer in this country? You got to work for the CIA. I tell people that for decades. This is, well, you think you're gonna get around the biggest drug dealers in the world? It's like, come on. You can sell for them, but you can't go behind them. That's just a fact. That's that's no big secret. 20 years ago, I might have got some shit for selling it, but this shit's been out of the bag forever. I think the Dodge Ram team is up north of here in the District of Corruption. I hear a bull in the China closet. I hear a lot of screaming, so maybe they'll get that shit taken care of one of these days. We got a lot of crap in the country. It's ugly. I'm just hoping the world will forgive us when we clean up our act. You know, the American people didn't know any. The general public has no idea what's been done. But when you start to find out and you've been around long enough, you've talked to enough people and seen enough shit, you say, fuck, man, this is fucked up. But so I leave my fellow Americans while I go on vacation for a minute. I got some work to do. I got some good people to work with, and I got some work to do. I do contract work. That's what I've done most of my life. But then my head injury kind of set me back for a decade and a half, pretty much. So we're gonna try and wrap up a few projects. We got to communicate with our sea mammal friends and the dolphins, and they're one of the really interesting ones that should have been done a long time ago. And I'm sure the military's done some horrible things, but the military can never do anything productive. It's there's no productivity in it. It's all for the wrong reason. Every bit of it. It's rotten to the core. I got no time for it. They want to protect our borders of our country and do the things that they would be useful for. That's fine, but everything they do abroad is absolutely despicable. So we got all that to answer for to the world. When the American people take the fishbowl off their head and look around, they're going to be sadly disappointed. But I think that's coming up around the corner here. I think there's even a scheduled date for that. I've heard people talking in the wind. You hear that once in a while. There's a lot of noise outside, and it's probably not too far down the road. And then the healing can begin as a nation. It's gonna be a lot of disappointment, but that's all right, because really what matters is we get past the shit. It's been a big long slide downhill. Stop, get up, brush the dirt off, lick our wounds, and get back up where we belong. Right now, we're still bouncing and sliding, but right now, I heard someone throw a couple anchors over the side, so I think they're going to take hold and stop this nonsense, and then, we'll come to a stop and with a solid plane begin going backwards. But at least we're not going down. I mean, how far can you free fall? The bottom ain't too far away. It's really not. I care less about politics. I say zero politicians, zero oil, zero fossil, zero politicians, and so little government, it's almost non-existent. Just enough to handle the international affairs amongst countries, because there's a need for people to be in places to represent us fairly, respectively, and handle those international affairs. Other than that, when we're in a country, we don't need no one looking over our shoulder and tell us what the fuck we can and can't do. Any of that shit's just fucking unwanted oversight. So that's just my opinion, where I stand in it. I'm not going to compete with you guys. I got a 56-minute video here. I've been rambling for 56 minutes. But thanks to Paul, thank you for putting that video out there. I've wanted to do something like this for a long time as well. And, yeah, John's real. It's funny that we've known each other for years. I've known Paul for, I don't know, since probably around the time when you guys were visiting him, or there shortly after, not long, because that's when I found out about Paul. And Paul he does some amazing work. Yeah, it's awesome. And I've known John, I don't know. It's near the beginning of my transition, somewhere around it. We've known each other for enough years to know that we know we're all real and who we are. We're on a world platform. Kind of crazy we can just pop into the world, Great opportunity. We got all the tools in the world. The world has all the tools. We can break down language. You can buy a set of headphones and clip them in. You walk up to some perfect stranger and do a conversation, and if they don't know your language, well, you can just borrow my headset and then you can talk to each other. Pretty cool. I mean, we have all this technology. Why aren't we using it to be friendly and collaborate and share and learn? And so I'm just going to keep my energy focused in the good things we can do with it, and stay away from the military industrial destruction. It's disgusting. My work years ago and working with as a contractor, subcontractor, didn't really make any difference what level it was at, doing things with stuff that was helping the military stuff out and other technologies, and then film technology. I mean, just our instruments pretty much, yeah. To this day, there's no patent on them, so yeah, all the technology. It's amazing how important that instrument is, and what went forward because of it, and how fast. The laboratory is one thing, production line's another. Yeah, and then some of the things that those things were used for, I'm not happy with, but I didn't know, and we didn't know what would be done with things that we were thinking we're working with good guys, but then there's corruption. So it's rampant. It's all over the place. So I think the corruption's going to go. I think corruption's on the way out the door. They don't think so. They're screaming loud and raising hell, but yeah, it's not too difficult to take toys away from the screaming child in the sandbox, So I've always chuckled about that. But at any rate, it's that time. I'll be done in the last 20 seconds. Y'all have a good one. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, John. Let's keep in touch and go forward. I'll we'll get the lab going here. And I look forward to talking to you guys more often. And we'll get some remote testing going. All right. Enjoy. All right. I gotta end this. How do I end it? Ah! Where's the end button? That's always the problem. How do you end it? This? Yes, I do.